Hey everyone, welcome to Nana's Story Time. I hope you had a wonderful day. It was gorgeous out. Absolutely beautiful, a wonderful day to walk, play. Tonight we're going to read about Herbert Benz. Okay? And his flying tricycle. I'm so excited to read this one. Are you ready? All right, grab a blanket, cuddle up, and let's have story time, okay? Herbert Benz was a very small, even for a mouse, but he didn't care because Herbert Benz was a most clever mouse. He could do double somersaults, read backwards, and sing and play the accordion. But what he liked best was inventing. Herbert Benz was a brilliant inventor. Most animals loved Herbert Benz, but there were three. McTibbety, an old rabbit, Zip, a greedy young rat, and Measly, a mean old weasel, who didn't like him at all. They were jealous that one animal could be more talented than three of them, and whenever they saw Herbert, they would taunt him with a rhyme. Herbert Benz is so horribly small that no one cares for him at all. But Herbert simply made up a rhyme on the spur of the moment and replied, Herbert Benz may be smaller than you, but look what this tiny mouse can do. He goes head over heels, he can play and sing, and best of all, he'll invent anything. The three animals could never think of anything to say in return, and at Herbert's word, they would storm off, stomping their feet and feeling furious that someone so small and unimportant looking could be so smart. One afternoon, Zip, Measly, and McTibbety were sitting in their secret den talking about their favorite subject. That Herbert Benz, said Mr. McTibbety, is too small for his boots. Have you ever heard his latest scheme? Said Zip. No, what? Said the others eagerly. The affairs of Herbert Benz were always of great interest to them. Well, said Zip, lowering his voice to a whisper, he says he's invented a flying tricycle. And he's going to test it next Thursday afternoon. A flying tricycle, roared McTibbety in a furious, rabbity voice. Who does he think he is? Of course, the gang had never thought of inventing a flying tricycle themselves. In fact, they rarely thought about anything other than Herbert Benz. Without Herbert to get angry about, their lives would have been quite dull. So they gathered round to think how Herbert could be fixed for good. The next day, Herbert Benz was in his workshop, poring over his plans for the flying tricycle as he worked, and he sang, if birds and bees and tops of trees are things you specially like, if you like a breeze around your knees, you'll need Ben's flying trike. Must have forgot my special starting pin, he muttered to himself. Very important for a smooth takeoff. What he didn't see, however, was a whiskery face at the window. It was McTibbety, and he was writing down every word that Herbert Benz said. Zip and Measly were sitting at Bowles Waterside restaurant when McTibbety came rushing up. I have here all we need to put the mouse in his place, he cried, and he read aloud from the piece of paper. Ha, said Zip, chugging down a whole glass of barley juice in one gulp. special pin, eh? Let's steal it. Then, wouldn't he look silly when his wonderful tricycle doesn't take off? And he laughed a ratty laugh. The three animals turned to look at the poster that was stuck up on the old willow in the middle of the restaurant. Herbert Benz, mouse and inventor, will be demonstrating his spectacular flying tricycle next Thursday afternoon down by the riverside. All welcome. That's what he thinks, sneered McTibbety. That night, as Herbert Benz slept peacefully, the three animals crept up into his house. Zip and Measley kept watch, while McDippity silently squeezed himself through the workshop window. He looked in Herbert's desk drawers. He looked under the carpet. He looked inside Herbert's box of treasures on the shelf and found nothing. He was just about to give up when he spotted Herbert's jacket hanging up behind the door. He reached inside the pocket and his paw touched something cold and hard, the special pin. That very second, an owl hooted and a cloud crept over the moon. McTibbety began to get the jitters. Quickly, he grabbed the special pin and scrambled out through the tiny window. Back in the den with Zip and Measley, McTibbety danced in excitement. Thinks he's clever, that Benz, he glorted. But some animals are more clever like me. And he took the special pin from his pocket. Zip and Measley admired McDabbity's good work. At last, Herbert Benz was going to get his competence. The three animals were so excited that they could hardly wait for Thursday to arrive. Whenever they saw some animals reading the poster, they called out in glee, "Be sure to be there, be sure to be there," when the Munskull Mouse takes to the air. Thursday afternoon arrived at last. Down by the riverside, the crowd had gathered, and a banner was tied between two trees which said, "The animals of the field edge wish Herbert Benz the best of luck on his maiden voyage." "He'll need it," said McTibbety. "We couldn't have picked a better plan," said Zip. "The whole town of Field Edge is here to watch him make a fool of himself. He wouldn't dare show his low whisker face in public again." Wow. What do you think's going to happen? At that moment, the most wonderful machine appeared on the hill. It was a green tricycle with two enormous wings that flapped beautifully, and riding it was Herbert Benz. Zip, Measley, and McTibbety couldn't stop laughing at Herbert. Reached into his waistcoat pocket. He felt around for a minute, and he pulled out the special pin. "What?" said Zip. "How?" gasped Measley. "It can't be," cried Miss McTibbety. Herbert looked at the three animals in turn. Then he said, in his most sensible voice, "You Rabbity McTabbety, you're daffier than a hare. You didn't think I'd risk your tricks. You see, I've got a spare." He got a spare. And with that, he inserted the special pin, and the flying tricycle glided into the air as gracefully as a bird. McTibbety, Zip, and Measley raged and gashed their teeth. "Well, get him next time," said Measley. "Never fear," agreed Zip. "That stupid," screamed McTibbety. But we'll never know that McDibbity said because his voice was drowned by the cheers of the crowd as Herbert Benz, the wings of his tricycle flapping beautifully, disappeared over the tops of the trees. That was a really good book. I really enjoyed it. You know what do you know what that tells you, littles? That you should always chase your dreams and don't ever stop trying. All right? Awesome. Thanks for stopping by Nano's Story Time. And don't forget, wash your face, brush your teeth, and make sure to give Mom and Dad lots of hugs and kisses. Good night. Sweet dreams, everybody. Night.